How's it going, everyone? Seems like some people are upset about the Game Awards nominees, particularly one title that, I don't know if it should be nominated, and honestly, there's a good chance that it might end up winning the whole thing. I'll give you guys my input on if the title that people are upset about being nominated ends up winning it. I think this is just super lame. I think it's super lame. At the end of the day, the Game Awards should just be something that people just view as one outlet, one opinion, or I get that there's a panel of people, but you get the idea. Ultimately, you decide on what your Game of the Year is. But let's go through the Game of the Year category and what's nominated, and then we'll go over the other, genres and what's been nominated there. But the nominees for Game of the Year are Astrobot, Balatro, Black Myth Wukong, Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and Metaphor ReFantazio. Now, do I think all of these games should have been nominated? In the case that these were my favorite games of the year? No, not necessarily, but obviously the biggest criticism is from Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree being nominated. It is a DLC expansion to Elden Ring. Elden Ring won Game of the Year in 2022. We should probably just have a genre that is best DLC, best expansion, something like that. That should be something that's off in the periphery rather than it being nominated for Game of the Year. Can you make the argument that Shadow of the Erdtree as an expansion, the content offering, puts other full game releases to shame? Sure, but I don't think it should be nominated for Game of the Year. Nevertheless, what has been nominated, I don't have too much of an issue with everything else. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, absolutely, I think should be nominated. Metaphor ReFantazio should be nominated, absolutely. There's my JRPG fandom. Astrobot, yeah, given the reception of that game, that should be nominated. Balatro was really well received, even though, not all of you guys have played it. That was really well received. And Black Myth Wukong, I don't know if everybody that I talk to, I don't think would put it at Game of the Year level, but at the same time, whenever I upload a video about Black Myth Wukong, the comment section is filled with people saying it's their Game of the Year. So you know what, that one's fine as a nominee as well. There are other titles that personally I would have liked to see be given some attention. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, I thought was phenomenal. I thought that game should have been in the mix. Stellar Blade is another one that I think a lot of people wanted that game to be in the mix, and there are other titles. And if we're nominating Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, I think a lot of people that are into Destiny 2 would be like, why isn't Destiny 2 Final Shape nominated as well? Final Shape was really well received, and I think it's one of the top Metacritic scores of the year. Silent Hill 2 is another one that I saw a lot of people say should have been nominated. But as far as the lineup goes, it's fine. Shadow of the Erdtree, again, I think that being nominated is really, really lame. And from my vantage point, look, I don't care about what gets nominated and what wins Game of the Year in the standpoint that my opinion is going to get shifted based on what other people think. That's just not the case. Last year, Baldur's Gate 3, Alan Wake 2, games did not resonate with me, but the whole time I said I would really like to see Baldur's Gate 3 run away with it, and in this year's instance, I would really like to see Metaphor ReFantazio win Game of the Year. Why is that? That's because, to me, the most powerful thing about Game of the Year, the Video Game Awards, everything like that, is it's a promotional vehicle. It is something that is a feather in the developer's cap, and I think, let's look at these nominees. Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, how many Game of the Years is From Software gonna win? From Software at this point is revered. They are established. Their next game is gonna do huge. They are at that level. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, again, you're gonna buy, if you enjoyed Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, if you are familiar with it, you're gonna buy the third game. That's not a feather in Square Enix's cap at this point. Astrobot, Balatro, Metaphor ReFantazio, those are games that would legitimately be a feather in those respective studios' cap. And in the case of Metaphor ReFantazio, I personally, from my personal standpoint, it would do me a lot of joy to see an anime-oriented Japanese RPG win Game of the Year. That is a huge, huge, statement from Atlas and Studio Zero that they put out a game that isn't necessarily going to be the biggest game release in the world in the sense that it's a JRPG. These games for a long time were kind of secondary releases, not even in the sense of a Final Fantasy. Like, Final Fantasy has always been on a different tier as far as the JRPGs go. Metaphor and the Atlas titles, they were a little bit more niche. Persona for a long time was niche. It's kind of, broken out of that bubble, and Persona is huge now, but Metaphor is a brand new IP, and Metaphor winning Game of the Year, that would be a huge statement for JRPGs, not just Final Fantasy, but JRPGs in general, a huge statement and a feather in Studio Zero and Atlus's cap. I want to see them be rewarded with that. Just like last year, even though Baldur's Gate 3 wasn't my personal favorite game, I was so happy that that game won Game of the Year, because guess what? A lot of people enjoyed that game, and it's a game that was coming from Larian Studios, who has been doing great work for a long time, but they never really got the immense amount of recognition that they got last year. I want to see Atlus get that as well, and Metaphor is a tremendous game as well, absolutely well deserved, but from my vantage point of viewing the Video Game Awards as a promotional vehicle, and for the developers a feather in their cap, Metaphor is the game that I want to see win. From Software is gonna win a billion more Game of the Years. They've already won Game of the Years in the past. Like, why do we need them to win another Game of the Year? They don't need it. Metaphor, Studio Zero, Atlus, I think they should win it, and I think it would be huge for them to get the W. Black Myth Wukong would be great as well, in the sense that new IP, new studio, all that stuff. It's just not gonna win Game of the Year, because I don't think that the panel is gonna view it at that level, and I think the general consensus is that I think the majority of people enjoyed Wukong. They don't view it at that level. Just look, I don't know what you guys want to make of Metacritic scores, but Metacritic scores is something to look at. Look at what's won Game of the Year in the past. Usually, it's in line with what a lot of the Metacritic scoring is. And let's pull up Black Myth Wukong, why don't we? And I think as far as all of the games nominated here, Black Myth would be the lowest rated. 81 on Metacritic. Yeah, that's not that high in comparison to everything else. 76 on PlayStation 5 on Metacritic. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I believe, is at a 92. Metaphor is a 94. Astrobot's a 94. Shadow of the Erdtree's a 94. And Balatro, I believe, is a 90. Let's look at that. Yes, it's a 90 flat. Black Myth Wukong is by far the lowest rated. I know a lot of people want that game to win, but I just don't think it is from the standpoint of what the panel is gonna think. That's why I am singling out Metaphor here. Astrobot winning it would be cool as well, but Metaphor was a bigger $70 game, and again, platformers win Game of the Year. That happens. Anime-oriented JRPGs, that getting a W, I think would just be huge for that genre. Not a Final Fantasy game, in the sense that this is a more niche JRPG. And again, I think that we also, looking at it from the lens of Jeff Keighley, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was the closing game out of the Summer Game Fest in 2023, yes, in 2023. We know that Jeff Keighley's had a relationship with From Software, and, you know, I look at social media and a lot of people be calling Jeff Keighley out these days for being a, let's just say, a PlayStation guy. I mean, I don't think that's too big. Do you guys use social media? Like, do you guys see what some people are saying? From the vantage point of, oh, this is good optics, and I do think there's something to that, Metaphor winning it would be good optics as well, from the standpoint of, hey, it's a multi-platform game, it's a title that isn't necessarily totally connected with Jeff Keighley, which I think Elden Ring and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, to an extent, would be, and Shadow of the Erdtree just winning it would be memes. Elden Ring won it 2 years ago. It really doesn't do, like, everybody knows From Software is GOTY, like, who cares at this point? Metaphor winning it, I just think would be huge for that genre, Studio Zero and Atlus, but nonetheless, that's my 2 cents. Maybe you guys disagree, let me know. Best narrative, you got FF7 Rebirth, Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth did get a mention there, and I would honestly say that Yakuza Like a Dragon had the much stronger narrative than Infinite Wealth, but that's my opinion. But Infinite Wealth's story was still good. Metaphor, Refantazio, obviously Senmou Saga, Hellblade 2, and Silent Hill 2. Best art direction, Astrobot, Black Myth, which Black Myth absolutely should be nominated for that, and I think, you know, Black Myth winning that I don't think would be crazy. Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree, Metaphor, Neva. That game is gorgeous. That's another one that sleeper nomination there, but that game's gorgeous. Best score in music, Astrobot, FF7 Rebirth, Metaphor, Silent Hill 2, Stellar Blade, absolutely. Best audio design, Astrobot, Black Ops 6, FF7 Rebirth, Senmou Saga, Hellblade 2, Silent Hill 2. Best performance, that's for a voice actor. Innovation and accessibility, a Black Ops 6, Diablo 4, Dragon Age the Veilguard, which absolutely, that game had incredible accessibility options, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, and Star Wars Outlaws, and then games for impact, Best ongoing game, and Destiny 2 Final Shape did get nominated with that. Best community support is there, and there's a bunch of other genres. I'm not gonna go through everything. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. I think from the standpoint how I view the Game Awards, Metaphor winning it would be really cool. It's a game that was received really well. Anime-oriented JRPGs usually don't get nominations or don't win Game of the Year. I would really love to see Metaphor win it, because I don't think Persona 5 won it in 2017. Don't believe Persona 5 Royal won it in 2020, and that, I get it, is a re-release with an expansion. Like, I understand that, but Metaphor winning it, I just personally think would be really cool. But let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. Sound off there. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.